Welcome back to the Free Code Camp podcast. I'm Quincy Larson, teacher and founder of freeCodeCamp.org. We've got a laid-back interview heading your way, but first, some community news. Free Code Camp just published a comprehensive front-end development course where you'll build your own browser-based code editor. You can code along at home and build your own single-page app development environment with tabs for editing your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Along the way, you'll learn some intermediate JavaScript techniques that'll allow for instant live preview, and you'll be able to see the results of your code changes right away in that preview. This is a really cool exercise if you want to just get some practice coding in JavaScript and building full stack apps, or front end apps rather. And it is a 4-hour course on the Free Code Camp YouTube channel. I've got a link in the description. Watch it after you watch this. We've also recently announced that we're adding 6 new certifications to our full stack curriculum path. And you can earn these along the way to earning the big capstone certification. These include Python, relational databases, front-end libraries, and more. I put a link to the full announcement in the description. It'll just take a minute to read, but it explains kind of our reasoning for this. We're very proud of the core curriculum, and we're excited to expand it a little bit and make it easier for people to earn certifications along the way during that very lengthy, it's like 1,800 hours worth of coursework if you complete the entire thing. Next, speaking of a lot of coursework, we just published this guide to the Databricks Data Engineer Associate Certification exam. If you want to sit for that exam, Andrew Brown is a CTO who's passed practically every DevOps exam under the sun. That's not an exaggeration, like all the Google Cloud, all the Microsoft Azure, all the AWS, and he teaches this course. He'll introduce you to key concepts like clusters, structured streaming, data lakes, and more. We also published this awesome tutorial. It's a pretty breezy read, and you're going to learn all about cosine similarity and the role it plays in large language models. As the author, Manish, says, basically cosine similarity is a bridge between human language and machine understanding. It allows a model to treat meaning as geometry, turning questions and answers into points in space. Not only will you learn the math involved in cosine similarity, you'll also see it implemented in Python. Next, I wanted to share this awesome video that I was just like, I woke up and I saw this on my YouTube recommendations, and it's great. I love Krasm. He is an absurdist developer comedy channel guy, and he just released a new 3-minute skit called America's Next Top Model Context Protocol Server, a mashup of MCP, which we use with LLMs, kind of an API for LLMs, and the Top Model Show, which I can't say I've ever watched before, but the video is full of memorable one-liners. Sudo yum install that, please. I also recommend for the song of the week, this classic 1978 groove. The band is A Taste of Honey. The song is Get Down, Boogie Yogi Yogi. So many hooks in this one. I love everything about the song, and I especially love when she says, "Listen to my bass, yeah," and everything drops out and you can just hear the bass line over the drum groove. It's so golden. I love this song. Check it out. Link in the description. Now we're ready. The big moment. We are going to be talking with Tom Mondloch today. He is kind of a lone wolf dev. He quit programming after he finished community college, and he just spent several years doing odd jobs, but then he decided to get back into it, and he discovered Free Code Camp just through Googling around. He was just learning on his own, and he wasn't even sure whether Free Code Camp's linear curriculum would be worth his time, but he stuck with it. He got good, and ultimately he started contributing to the Free Code Camp open source project. He's since joined Free Code Camp staff. He architected Free Code Camp's entire relational database certification curriculum, which you can run in your browser or right inside of your VS Code editor. So let's jump to our interview with Tom Mondloch. Tom Mondloch, welcome to the Free Code Camp podcast.
Hey, Quincy. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. I'm thrilled to finally have you on. You're somebody whom I've worked closely with for years at this point, and you've been instrumental in the development of a lot of aspects of the Free Code Camp curriculum, Free Code Camp open source learning platform. And I wanted to learn a little bit more about you and share some of that with the community. So first, I want to start with talking about the daily coding challenges that you just shipped last month. These are awesome. And I wanted to see if maybe you could talk a little bit about why we built these challenges and how we built them. And then I'm also going to demo what they look like.
Yeah, the daily coding challenges are kind of what they sound like. It's a new coding challenge that comes out every day. You can go to our website or mobile app and solve them, and you can solve them in either Python or JavaScript. Yeah, so that's what they are. And then why, I guess, is because why not? We're trying to make the website more engaging, give people a reason to come back every day, get people talking about something and hopefully sharing their solutions. Yeah, they're fun.
Awesome. And I'm just going to dive in and share my screen here. Just share the whole screen. You'll get to see all the weird stuff I've got open. Okay. And so we're going to dive into just like showing somebody who's done this online. So we tweet these out daily, thanks to Estefania on our team who develops these beautiful looking things. And so I'll just read this challenge. This is for Wednesday, September 17th, which was a few days ago as of recording. Slug generator. Given a string, return a URL friendly version of the string using the following constraints. All letters should be lowercase. All characters that are not letters, numbers, or spaces should be removed. All spaces should be replaced with the URL encoded space code, which is %20. Consecutive spaces should be replaced with a single %20. The return string should not have leading or trailing %20s. And so it gives you the starting JavaScript code and the starting Python code, and you can solve it in the freeCodeCamp mobile app, or you can do it in your local browser, which Sunday, a developer tweeted that kind of like his solution, and you can watch the video where he talks about like how he went about solving it. But I'm going to go ahead and show what this looks like in freeCodeCamp's learning platform. So if you go to freeCodeCamp.org/learn, if you're signed in, you don't have to be signed in, but if you sign in, it'll like track your progress. So let's go to the archive, and I believe this was September 17th. So let's click on that one. You can see that I've already like inputted the solution here, and it saves your solution if you like leave and come back. I did it in Python, and you can see that these are the tests here that are basically just kind of like codifying the user story up here. And then you can just run it, and boom, passes. You can see the output and everything, and you can download your solution, or you can just go to the next day's challenge. And we've got like 40 of them because you're publishing new ones 7 days a week.
Yeah, that is probably the biggest challenge I think that I am under right now. It's basically we have a day where we run out of challenges, and so I have to keep creating them to build my queue up, so we don't run out of challenges. So there's a sense of urgency to keep creating new ones. Yeah, and when I started creating them, I was just creating something easy, just trying to create anything really. But now that I have a queue kind of built up, I have a little more flexibility to be creative with them, more detailed with them, and some of them are pretty fun. And what I've started to try and do is incorporate maybe real world events into the daily challenges where it points out something specific that happened in history, and then the challenge will be related to that, or ones I just created recently I found out October 4th through 10th is Space Week, and so it's something that I'm kind of fascinated with, is space, and so I created 7 daily challenges related to space for Space Week for October 4th through 10th. So check those out. They're pretty fun.
Yeah, and these are great ways to flex your data structures, algorithms, just scripting with Python or JavaScript, the two probably most important programming languages for people to learn right now. So yeah, that's super awesome that you're creating these, and I encourage everybody to check them out. What's the hardest part about coming up with these challenges? Because I mean, like, you're 2 months in, like once you're like 7 years in and you've made 2,100 of these, like you're really going to be like trying to figure out, okay, what design pattern can we showcase here? Are they going to get more challenging over time, you think?
I think it'll be more challenging. Maybe, I don't know. It might get easier. I am creating just a big long list of ideas. I can be doing anything. Maybe I'm out walking and I'll come up with a new idea and I'll write it on my list. And then every day, or I try to do multiple in one day, so I'm not having to create them every day, but I'll look at my lists and I'll uh, try and find a semi rough thing from that list for an idea. I mean, it could be anything like how long is my laptop battery going to last? How fast should I drink my water?
Yeah.
Try to relate it to real life. So if I can continue to add things to this list, it may get easier. But yeah, eventually perhaps we'll kind of start duplicating ideas. You can always take an old idea and tweak it, refine it, twist it to come up with a new challenge that's quite different but uses similar things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the big features that you hope to eventually bring to the daily coding challenges?
I mean, right now it's pretty fleshed out, or it's good. Specifically, the interactive challenges themselves, we can always add more languages. Maybe down the road we will. But it's as far as kind of related to, but a little bit separate from the daily challenges is sharing. We hopefully people can share on the forum. You can already do that, but maybe something that makes it a little easier to do that, where people can talk about their solutions and stuff. Other UI features that'll make it just more fun right now.
Yeah.
That archive page you were looking at, you just get one big check mark if you complete the challenge in either language. I was thinking we'd change that into multiple check marks where
Yeah.
it shows, oh, you completed in JavaScript or Python. It'll give people a reason to do it in multiple different languages. Um,
Yeah. I like being able to
streaks and
tag them.
badges.
Yeah, streaks, badges, tagging them like for difficulty would be cool. Obviously, if
Yeah.
somebody's a beginner and like suddenly an advanced one comes out or like a real brain buster comes out, they may not be able to solve that. So that might end their streak. So, but at the same time, we don't want to have like multiple like it just becomes a combinatorial explosion of work if you start having so we're still trying to work out a lot of the logistics, how we're going to handle this, because if you just solve like hundreds of easy challenges in a day, you could argue that like you're still making marginal incremental progress, but it's diminishing returns, right? And you do want to keep stepping it up. And and yet there are like so many advanced, like if you look at competitive programming, they're often getting like programs that were like coding challenges that were just created for them. And these will be like really strong, collegiate programmers or high school programmers. And, you got to come up with novel problems. So one of the things I'm really excited to see is how we explore that space going forward, because I do want more people to get serious about competitive programming, because I think it's an amazing practice. Have you ever tried any competitive programming challenges?
No. Nope. Not really. Maybe a little bit. I know they're not like super competitive. I know there's other little websites out there where you can kind of do similar challenges. I've maybe done some of those, very rarely.
Yeah.
But I don't. They're not really competitive. It's not like I'm in the room with the person and whoever finishes first wins the prize or something. I don't. Is that what you're talking about? Like, is that
Yeah,
how
like a lot of times
competitive
it'll
it
be like
gets?
time complexity, space complexity. It'll be like how many of the test cases you addressed. Like maybe it's really hard to get all the different test cases in a certain period of time. But one of the question I think a lot of people might have is like, okay, daily coding challenges. Like now we have these powerful LLMs, and a lot of people just see it as like, when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Like when all you have is an LLM, everything looks like an LLM problem that you can solve with an
A
LLM.
prompt.
Like, what would you say to people who are just like, why do I care? Like, I could just go to an LLM and say like, hey, quiz me on, like, give me a Python programming problem real quick.
Why would you? Because you could just come to our site and do it. We already have them. Yeah. That's one less step that
Yeah,
you have to ask them for a challenge, and we already have them.
yeah,
There's the best reason. One of the best reasons. The other, I guess, multiple other reasons is that ours are interactive. So GPT or whatever is going to give you instructions, but how are you going to do it? I guess you can write the code. Does your code work? Well, we don't know. We have tests and interactive stuff that you can find out. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I will say to anybody who's asking that question themselves is like, if you start asking GPT or Claude or Gemini or any of these large LLMs like the frontier models and stuff, like if you start asking them to do tasks, they are going to get very repetitive. Like you might get 5 or 6 different types. Like just to ask it to give you a dad joke, and I think after a while, because of the predictive nature of it, it's not like it's going to come up with thousands of novel dad jokes. It might come up with a few that'll probably be derived from some Reddit thread, and then it'll start to run out of ideas. And I think the same thing is going to happen if you start asking it for coding challenges. So you will kind of get into like this deja vu loop. I'm excited to hear a little bit more about your own journey into software development. I understand that you did go and do an associate's degree at a community college in programming, but like what got you started in programming? Like what got you interested in computers to begin with?
Well, I mean, I grew up in the 90s and we got a home computer with Windows 95 on it probably, and that was the home computer, so you sat and played on it and you did things, played Minesweeper and whatnot, hacked around a little bit. That was the thing of our time, I guess. Yeah, didn't really. I think actually I did make a few websites when I was young. I think GeoCities was the name of the
Yeah,
place.
GeoCities. There's
Yeah.
a revival project called NeoCities where you can basically relive GeoCities experience in terms of building websites.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, I do remember now making a few websites on there back in the day, and tinkering with the computer and whatnot. So yeah, I got an associate's after high school, 2-year degree at the technical college in my town. Didn't directly pursue a career in it. I had some other hobbies and things I was doing, but I came back after a while, and
What was the process of getting back into programming like for you? Like where did you start? Because 7
I
years or
just
so have passed. Like,
I just grabbed my computer and said, "How do I do this again?" And kind of opened up some of my old programs, baby websites that I had, I think, stored on one of my old computers. I'm like, oh yeah, look at that, it's still there. Um, and then I was like, well, can I still do this or not? And and so I started kind of creating new things, and I could do it. With obviously with the help of the internet, it's not that difficult. To just, how do I do this? Um, yeah, and so I was kind of in the middle of relearning, and I found freeCodeCamp through kind of a random Google search or something. Opened it up, and it's pretty easy to get started. I didn't have to even sign in or anything, and just started some challenges. And I had no intention of really sticking with freeCodeCamp. I was learning things on my own just fine. But yeah, I kind of got hooked. It was, pretty easy to earn that first certification. Yeah, and then I guess the promise of the linear curriculum, to just follow that and you'll get a job. Um, it was appealing, I guess, and it was fun.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So you weren't that like committed to FreeCode. You didn't even initially create an account. You were just and that's one
no,
of the things FreeCodeCamp, like we're big on user privacy and stuff like that, and we want people to be able to access everything without not only for free, everything on FreeCodeCamp is free, but also not even need to create an account. If you just want to like access it, everything is accessible through like Google search and stuff. Like we want people like full transparency. You type in a URL and you're there, and there's nothing stopping you from doing what you want to do on freeCodeCamp. And so
yeah,
it sounds like that was actually that design feature was actually one of the reasons why you were willing to use it. Because if we'd like been like boom auth with Google or
yeah.
something, like immediately, maybe you wouldn't have been interested.
That could definitely be the case. I recall now. I think I found freeCodeCamp and I did probably the first 50 challengers or something. It probably took me an hour or two, or maybe a half day. I don't remember. But I wasn't signed in for any of it. So then I'm like, maybe I should actually create an account, and so I did. I created an account, then I redid those challenges so that they saved to my account. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about like how you got from going through the Free Code Camp curriculum to contributing to the open source project, which you were a prolific contributor, as pretty much everybody on the Free Code Camp staff starts out as an open source contributor. And then at some point, I'll reach out and be like, "Hey, would you like to do this full time and just do more of what you're already doing as a contributor?" And like maybe you can talk about like those initial PRs and like pull requests and how you got into doing open source development.
Um, well, I was going through the curriculum myself and creating my own projects and interacting with people through in the freeCodeCamp community. And one of those people was Ahmed, that I found in one of our chat rooms, and he encouraged me to start contributing. So I owe a lot to him for encouraging that. And yeah, I think my first pull request was like a single character change to the git ignore file, and I was like worried that I was going to bring down the entire site or something because I didn't have a clue what I was really doing, particularly on Git because it's a bit of a beast. Um, but yeah, that definitely wasn't going to happen. And so I started small, and then started doing more, bigger contributions. I think, yeah, you made an announcement at one point about the project-based curriculum, and I created two big contributions for those projects. One was the Skyline project, which I think is live now. And the other one was a D3 dashboard project. I don't think that ever made it live yet, but it's a lot of work to create those. And yeah, through my contributions, including those ones, and interacting with the staff, the existing staff, I started getting recognized by those people, the staff, and everybody in the community, and eventually got a message from you at one point saying something. I don't remember how it exactly happened, but yeah.
Yeah. I talked to you and had the same conversation I think I've had with every staff member. Would you like to potentially do this full time? Like if hypothetically we were able to, send you funds every month, would you be willing to just work on it 40 hours a week? And that was, I don't know, like 5 years ago. It was a while back.
Yeah, that was 2020.
Yeah.
That was right at the beginning of the pandemic. I think that's the reason I got hired. I remember reading an article that you had written about Free Code Camp's funds, and I don't remember, the article was from 2018 or something, 2019, and it was like uh, I think 200,000 a year or something, and it's like, but
Yeah.
you can't hire me, you can't hire anybody.
Yeah, well,
So
it has
I
grown
was
over
just
time.
I
Yeah,
was
with like
like,
we've gotten some grants and stuff, and that's allowed us to support a small staff. Like I think currently we got 29 people on staff, including myself.
yeah.
So one of the things I'm really interested in is as soon as you joined the team, like you really hit the ground running. We had like a really big mandate from the community to go deeper and not just cover front end development, which was the easiest thing to cover because you can just run everything in the browser, right? But to actually go full stack and to teach relational databases, teach Bash, teach Linux, teach Git, and then teach SQL itself. And I want to hear about the development of the relational database certification, which you basically architected yourself. Like I think you designed most of those challenges. You got it working. You were working with Sean and a few other people on the team to get this running inside VS Code, to get this running inside of a browser, usually inside of like something that emulates VS Code in a browser. What was the process like of developing that curriculum?
Um, that was a big undertaking. That was my first task when I got hired. You said, "We want this, Tom," and you introduced me to Sean from Code Road and Code Road Tool, as well as Adam, and the Code Ally team, and said, "We want to use these two tools." Code Ally ran VS Code, and Code Road was for running courses, and so I had to try and figure out how to do this stuff. And just through hacking away, I was able to slowly create small things, little demo projects, little practice projects, and I'm like, okay, so now I know how to create projects, and started designing the courses. Of course, I didn't really even know the tools for the courses at the time, so I had to learn the tools, and then try and create courses around them. I remember when I was doing that, you and I had a lot of back and forth about how you wanted things to be designed, and the project-based curriculum was still um, in the works, I guess, or in plan. And So we had a lot of back and forth about how you wanted things to be designed, and the way the steps would go from one to the next, and really kind of tie together, I guess. Really short steps, stuff like that. I think I did a good job with that. We ended up with like 1,500 total steps, if as I recall, across maybe
Yeah.
15 projects for the relational database curriculum. And yeah, each project, maybe up to 100 or 200 steps, feels like an adventure, kind of like a maybe like a video game even, um, where you go on an adventure, and hopefully at the end you're like, that was satisfying.
Yeah, absolutely. Like a lot of our design philosophy is just informed by game dev. Like I love playing games. I know you do too, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But essentially, like keeping people's focus, making sure people don't spend too long thrashing on a particular challenge, and trying to like it's the Goldilocks zone, not too hot, not too cold, just right. The bed's not too big, hard. The bed's not too soft. It's just right. Like trying to like make challenges that suit like the median person going through them, so that they can progress, and then making it granular enough. Like I think our target was like people shouldn't spend more than 90 seconds on any particular step. And Ahmed, whom you mentioned earlier, like he goes through and he analyzes those regularly to try to identify bottlenecks where people are getting stumped and stuff like that in the interactive curriculum. So uh, the relational database curriculum, like I don't know, tens of thousands of people have gone through that and claimed the cert, and probably many more have attempted it over the years. But you have also been really instrumental in the development of our language curricula. Of course, we have the English curriculum, English for developers, but we're also developing Spanish for developers, Chinese for developers, and these are going to be like essentially like beginner level courses, and then we're going to gradually build up the CERF, CEFR, Common European Framework Reference, or something like that. We're building that up from like A1, which is the beginning, all the way to C2, which is the highest level. And a big part of it is this kind of like animated interaction. Yeah, can you talk about development of that?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, a lot of people on the team played a part in kind of creating these things, but yeah, I did create kind of the system for creating these animations. We had Learn to Code RPG with all these assets, images, and stuff for that, that we use for these language animation challenges, where we can have these conversations and then teach people a language. Yeah, and basically the system allows you to just kind of plug in one of the characters from the list of assets and say, I want it to say this thing, or I want it to speak for a certain duration. And so you can kind of create this animation with a few little plugging in characters, and then it just automatically does it. That was fun to create.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and the way to describe it verbally, I'm not going to try to demo it, especially because a lot of people are just listening to the audio edition and they don't see the video. Essentially, it's kind of like a comic book. Like a character pops in and they start saying stuff, and their lips move, and their eyes are blinking, and like all the expressions to reflect the mood of what they're saying, and then the other person responds. And so you might listen to like an audio exchange of somebody having a conversation at a water cooler talking about like some code they're shipping or something like that. And then you have to like answer questions about it. So you did not only like the animation, kind of like logic and stuff, so that the people developing those curricula, like the native speakers of those languages, they can go in and they can essentially develop the dialogues and then script the events so that these kind of like comic book style animations will play out. But also the different types of challenges. So there's like multiple choice, there's like fill in the blank, listening comprehension, where you listen and then you have to like choose. So like all the different modalities that somebody might get from like Duolingo or something like that, like we've got them and it's in a cohesive, like hand assembled by, experienced English teachers or Spanish teachers type setup. So you did a lot of the implementation, but you recently have been doing some AI assisted development. So FreeCodeCamp, Mrugesh Mohapatra on our team wrote this handbook that's freely available to everybody. And it was the basis of a hackathon we had. I said, like, hey, let's all learn more about these AI assisted development tools. And I'm somewhat critical of these tools. I don't think they're great, but there may be some like value to like learning them. So Mrugesh wrote this handbook, which we published and publicized. And then you worked with Jessica on our team, who's also been on a previous FreeCodeCamp podcast episode. And you built like kind of like a language coding editor. Can you talk about that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've used AI with moderate success, I guess, in the past. It's hit or miss, really, but it is a tool that you can utilize. And in this instance, I would say we had significant success. Jessica and I paired up for this kind of internal hackathon we had going. We read through that article you mentioned, so we learned some of the different tools and what they're good at, and then came up with a plan for using those tools to create an editor for the daily coding challenges. Right now, the way that you create daily coding challenges is a little convoluted, and it's a slower process to get everything from creation to the database where, our website or mobile app get it from the database. And so we created this daily challenge editor that can edit the challenges directly from the database, and it only took us a couple hours. It's not ready to be used. It needs some work, but it's functional and it looks pretty good. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe I'll keep tinkering with it, and we can use it in as our thing to create the daily challenges and potentially expand it in the future to create all the challenges.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, again, I've linked this in the show notes. After you finish this podcast, check out Mrugesh's article. Also, if you want to hear an interview with Jessica, whom Tom worked with on his hackathon project, I interviewed her on episode number 111, also linked in the show notes. It's a really long interview, and we spent a lot of the time talking about like classical music education and stuff like that. But I encourage you to dive in. So some other questions I have for you. I want to ask you about your MAME machine. So MAME is like machine emulation or machine something. It's an acronym. Sorry, I don't remember all these.
Yeah,
But
I
basically,
don't
it's
remember what
like
it stands for.
you can like play all the different arcade games. Maybe you've been to like a bowling alley or even like a university or something. They've had like a machine that like has like thousands of arcade games on it. They're ROMs, and you built your own MAME machine.
Yeah, yeah, I did. I saw a YouTuber who built one, and I'm like, I'm gonna do that. So I bought all the wood, all the electronics, all the hardware. It took me quite a while. It turned out awesome, but yeah, I did all the woodwork, finish work, all the electronics, the hardware and the software. Raspberry Pi runs the operating system. It turns out pretty awesome.
Yeah, and like, what did
Yesterday.
you learn from that? Like, do you recommend people do physical projects like that? Like, get some hardware up in the house and like build with their hands. And so, like, has that given you any additional perspective when you're doing software development?
Um, I mean, yeah, any extra stuff you're gonna build or anything you're gonna build is gonna give you more experience.
Yeah, and like, did you do like one for one scale? Is it like a real arcade machine scale, or is it scaled down to like sit on a table?
There was no, it was scaled down to sit on a table. It's a tabletop thing, so it's just like 2 feet tall or something.
Yeah,
It's
that's cool.
pretty carryable, mobile.
Yeah. And like you can get these at like, Costco or whatever, like the one up machines that are like scaled down. And have you tried one of those before? Like the build
Mm,
quality, like what's your assessment? Like, should people just build or buy?
I mean, I'm pretty sure they're pretty expensive. I did spending quite a bit on mine as well. Turned out more than I thought always does. But I did buy while I was doing that parts, the electronic parts, two of everything. So I have the parts to make another one. So at some point, maybe I'll get around to making another one.
If you do, make a video of it and we can potentially publish it. How to build your own, arcade machine. That'd be
Sure.
pretty awesome, actually. If you want to do that at some point, like if people are interested in learning how to build an arcade machine, be sure to leave a comment below, or just mention it on Twitter or wherever. What advice would you have for people who do want to get into contributing to open source?
Just start with anything. I mean, go on GitHub and find a repo. You can come to the freeCodeCamp repo and find an issue and start with something small. Give it a fix, and yeah, move on to bigger things from there. Reviews.
Awesome.
We need PR reviews. Start reviewing PRs.
Yes, we get a lot of PRs, but we have to kind of triage them and review ourselves.
That's what,
Yeah. Last question? Like, what are you the most hyped about in terms of like things that we're working on, Free Code Camp team? And it's not like there are like any spoilers. Like we basically just announce things. We're an open source project. You could you could scrutinize our code and figure out what's coming if you really are that interested. So like, what is it that you're like most hyped for coming in 2026?
In 2026, I mean, we've been working on this full stack curriculum for some time. Hopefully it will be finished. That would be ideal. And people can finally have the full curriculum done, and maybe we can move into maintenance mode and just kind of keep improving it from there. But yeah, right now it's got a lot to it, but it's kind of missing the final little
Yeah.
bit that we hope to finish. That's the goal.
Yeah, well, thanks for all the work you're doing on it. We're hyped to get it live. The full stack curriculum, you can start it now, but there are like we're missing the full stack JavaScript component, for example.
The
Python
backend.
curriculum, we have a substantial amount of the Python stuff done, but it's not all done, right? And then we're going to add the exams and the exam environment and things like that, so you can like take secure exams to check your comprehension and test your knowledge. To finally earn the certifications and build like the projects associated with it. So a lot of things in the pipes. It's awesome talking to somebody who's so intimately involved in the day-to-day development of the learning platform. And congratulations again on getting these daily coding challenges live and continuing to develop them. They're awesome.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Check them out.
Yeah. Well, everybody, until next week, happy coding.